So anyone that's ever visited my wood yard that has also seen some of my videos, one of the first things everyone says is they can't believe how much smaller the wood yard here is compared to what it looks like on video or in videos. And it's always funny because that is actually one of the things that I sometimes find challenging, is being able to utilize the space I have to the best of my ability. Like, I'm always trying to plan ahead and put things potentially in places where I know I can leave them for a long period of time. Because that's one of the things with firewood, for me, when I'm seasoning it, I'm trying to stay 2 years ahead. And so I need 2 years worth of firewood scattered somewhere about in my wood yard. And so I'm kind of running into, I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to put the trailer here of these oddball hunks and chunks. I split those, I think, 2 weeks ago or so, maybe. So the reason that it becomes a challenge is, I'll give you just a small example of why, like with firewood, if you put something somewhere and you want to let it sit there for a year, but then after 6 months you realize, oh, I needed to use that space for something else. So here's something that happened with my little mini firewood. So I split a bunch of wood and put it in here, I don't know how long ago. And then I waited a few months and then I added some more on the top. Well, now the stuff that I want that's seasoned is on the bottom. And so all the stuff that's on the top that's not seasoned is technically in the way and preventing me from getting to what I want down there. So that's what's kind of on my mind about that trailer full of odds and ends. I don't want to end up putting it somewhere that I'm going to end up having to move it. And I kind of have some plans for the area where I was storing a lot of the firewood. And that's why I kind of started utilizing the little ravine over here. So last year I started putting a lot of my personal burning firewood over here in this little ravine. And so I have that little pile there, and now this year I started adding onto it, and I have this pile started, and I kind of filled this all up. So one of the reasons why this space over here in this little ravine worked out so well is because I know that I'm not going to be doing anything, I'm not going to be using this space for anything else. Where I was storing a lot of my firewood was over here, kind of along the edge of the property. Right now, this is where I'm kind of staging all of my empty totes that I need to refill. So this is the area over here that I was storing a lot of my firewood, stacking it. I had how many rows here that now that's pretty much all gone. So this area is open. And what I want to do is I want to start kind of where that pallet is jacked up, sitting over there by that pine tree. I want to build another little woodshed like that. And I want to possibly have a structure like that run all the way down this line. I'm not sure if I want to start at this end or at that end. So I'm kind of debating on which end to start on. I'm not quite sure yet, but I know that I don't want to put any more firewood over here, at least until I get one structure put up, one of those little wood shelters built. So what I'm thinking is I am just going to utilize some more space over here in this little ravine. I've got a bunch of brush, a little brush pile here. So that'll kind of act as like my barrier, so I'm not throwing this wood right on the ground. I threw down a couple pallets, and what I'm going to do is back that trailer in here, and I think I'm just going to unload and start another pile, kind of like that, right over here. Ugh. Even though some of these pieces are fairly decent, and I probably could stack them, I don't think I'm going to. I mean, I could stack like a little row along the edge or along the back, but I think if stuff falls off or goes over the back over there onto the ground, I am going to be fine with it. I'm not too concerned, just because this stuff is for my personal burning. I'm not too worried about maintaining the quality. If a few pieces end up being on the ground, like that piece right there, that's just the way it's going to be. So there is the start of the next little pile of hunks and chunks. If I split any more up, I'll probably use the bucket on the tractor, and then that way I can just bring it over and dump it on top of this. I've still got a little room to come out to the side here on top of all that stuff. The ground up here is a little bit higher, so I will be able to raise the bucket up and dump onto this. So now as I continue to split up more bigger chunks and hunks of the gnarly stuff throughout the winter now, I'll just end up putting them on that pile right there. And I know it's not an ideal probably location, but it's what I've got available. I almost need 3 different spots. I used to think that I could get by with 2 different spots where I would just flip-flop from one year to the next. But now that I'm trying to get 2 years ahead, I need 3 spots, because I need a spot for the wood that I'm taking in this year. I need a spot for the wood for next year. And then I need a spot for the wood for 2 years from now that I'm making right now. So yes, my space here in the wood yard is limited, and yes, it is much smaller than apparently it appears on videos. At least, like I mentioned in the beginning, that's what everyone who's come here to visit, that's one of the first things they say is, man, this is a lot smaller than what I thought it would be. Well, you just got to take the space you have and try to best utilize it to your ability. And that's kind of what I've been doing, is just kind of finding areas that I can, over there, toss a big pile of wood, let it sit for 1.5 years, 2 years, and then during that time have another spot to throw some wood. Now I'm pulling wood from another spot, and so it kind of ends up like a little game of musical wood piles here in the wood yard. Flipping and flopping and jumping around from one spot to the next, putting wood here, putting wood there, putting wood everywhere. And speaking of jumping around, jump on over tomorrow night to the Back 40 live stream right here at 8 p.m. Central. Kick off the weekend and have a good time.